Hey there, guys. Hi, hello, hi. If you are here for the first time, hello, my name is Cheyenne Jazzwise. I am a seamstress, cosplayer, toy collector, nerd person, and this is the place where all of the creative stuff in my brain gets vomited out. And if you're back, howdy. So, maybe a week ago, as of me filming this, it was announced that Paul Reubens, who is the creator of and actor behind the character of Pee Wee Herman, had passed away. He had had cancer and he had been basically dealing with it privately, and so it was very sudden. Nobody knew he was sick, and he passed. And I had a really, really hard time the day that it got announced. Some people know this about me. A lot of people who've met me in person or know me pretty well know this about me, but it's not like a fandom that I post about a lot. But Pee Wee Herman is one of my favorite characters from anything ever. I love Pee Wee's Big Adventure. I loved Pee Wee's Playhouse as a kid and as an adult. It's one of those things that if I'm sad, I can put on an episode of Pee Wee's Playhouse and I always feel better. And I watch the Christmas special every Christmas. He's somebody who's meant a lot to me and been very special to me. Literally, there have been times in the past that I used to joke with people that my second set of parents were Elvira and Pee Wee Herman, because that's how much of an impact that he has had on a lot of who I think I've grown up to be. It's hard to super explain, but I feel like when I was a kid, you have this vision of you have to grow up and you get rid of all of your fun stuff and you go work in an office and you don't have any fun anymore, you know? At least that is what I saw around me in media and in a lot of the adults that I knew in real life, is nobody seemed to be having any fun. And I would watch Pee Wee's Playhouse, and this idea that Pee Wee was an adult, but he wasn't a grown-up, that's the way that I've always tried to explain it. Even when I try to explain things about myself to people, I say I'm an adult, but I'm not always a grown-up. This idea that he lived in this world that was still so full of fun and silliness and wackiness, and he still played with toys, and he just always seemed to be having so much fun and having a good time. That was something that was really special to me as a kid. And as an adult, I've gotten even more fond of, first off, Pee Wee's Big Adventure is just such a well-written movie. The structure of it is rock solid. And learning more about Paul Reubens, the fact that Pee Wee is a character he came up with after being rejected for SNL, and he thought that his life was over, and then he kind of finds this character that he creates, and it kind of gives him this whole other lease on life. And his career is something that has always meant a lot to me. The way that he kind of had the arrest situation happen and did not let it stop him, and kind of got back on the horse and had this whole kind of career revival and was so beloved. He has meant a lot to me for a long time. So losing him, and losing him so suddenly, was, I literally was sobbing at work, like a family member had died. And I know that probably sounds overwrought, but it's real. And one thing that I had been saying that I wanted to do for years is I've always said I really want to make a femme Pee Wee Herman outfit and go up to the Cabazon Dinosaurs. They're right outside of Palm Springs, which is a day trip from me, and take pictures in like a femme Pee Wee Herman. I've always said that that was something that I really wanted to do for years. And it felt like when he passed and I hadn't done that yet, and that he wasn't going to be able to see it. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but it felt like something that I had to do. It felt like that can kind of be my way to pay tribute to him and kind of say goodbye a little bit. Oh my God, I'm genuinely getting emotional, and I did not think I would because it's been like a week and okay, whatever. My husband and I had a couple of days that we were both free, and I happened to look just kind of on a whim, and hotels in Palm Springs were actually very cheap that day, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna book us a trip. We're gonna drive out. I'm gonna go see the dinosaurs, and we're gonna say goodbye to Pee Wee. And my husband, thankfully, was like, sure, let's go, let's do it. He understood. We've always said we wanted to go on a trip to Palm Springs anyway. It's like driving distance from us. So yeah, that's what this project is gonna be. That was just so intense. I'm sorry. I want this to be a really joyful build and a really joyful trip, but I guess I had more emotion in there than I realized still. So yeah, literally on my birthday, I bought the tickets and I had my husband come to the fabric store with me and pick out fabric. And as of recording this, I have about 2 weeks to put together the outfit that I'm planning to put together. So it's going to be kind of a speed build, but I think it's going to be worth it. So let me grab the fabric and I'll show you kind of what the plan is right now. So like I said, the goal is to do kind of a femme Pee Wee Herman. In my mind, it was almost like the idea of like, if Pee Wee Herman had a little sister. That's kind of been the energy that this build has always had in my head. So it's always in my head been a skirt, a bolero, and a little blouse, and maybe a bow, but like a scarf bow, like a bigger bow, and not a bow tie. That's in my head kind of the way it's always looked. I was at the fabric store and initially was not finding anything, and then I went all the way back to the clearance and I found this. So this is actually upholstery fabric, I'm pretty sure. We got a really good deal on it. It was like $6 a yard, and it has this beautiful kind of texture to it that really reminded me of Pee Wee's suit, because Pee Wee's suit is slightly checked, but it's not like a really big plaid or anything, and I feel like on camera this is going to kind of simulate that. In some lights it almost looks blue, but I'm not that worried about that because that's something that I can always tweak in pictures and stuff, but it's a pretty nice weight. I think it'll work for what I'm planning on. So for the skirt, I'm planning to just do my standard big full gathered panel skirt that I make all the time. I know it's a skirt that I know how to make really easily. I know I can crank it out really easily. And we have 2 weeks. So I want to do this as kind of efficiently as possible. And I don't want it to be a build that's like frustrating for me, because kind of the whole point of it is this is supposed to be like a joyful, fun thing that we're doing. And then I'm also going to be making this bolero. So this is Simplicity 8250. It is a pattern from the 50s. It's a great little 1950s bolero. I think a skirt and a bolero will kind of give the spirit of Pee Wee's suit without being a suit. And it's, from what I remember, it's like a slightly annoying pattern to put together, but not that hard. So we're gonna do that. I have a white blouse that I'm just gonna pull out, like just a little white Peter Pan collar shirt. And then I figure I'll either make or find like a big red bow. I'm probably gonna do my hair in a ponytail. I haven't 100% decided. And then little white shoes, little white socks, petticoat. In my head, that's kind of where this is headed. I think I can get it done in time. I think I can put it together without it being like a super stressful build. And then we're just gonna have to plan out the trip itself. Like, we know what day we're leaving. We're literally only staying for one night. We're driving out, we're staying one night, and then we're coming back. So I haven't decided if we're going to drive out, do our pictures with the dinosaurs, and then come back, or if we're going to drive out, rest, do pictures with the dinosaurs, and then drive back. I have to kind of work that out with my husband. But I've never gotten to go to Palm Springs, and it's a place I've always wanted to see, so I figure it'll be a nice little trip. Yeah, so I guess it's time for us to go get started. So let's go. And from there, it was time to get started. I got everything pinned and cut out. I actually think I got a little bit more of this fabric than I needed. I got 6 yards because I think in my head that bolero took a ton, but it actually didn't. The skirt only took about 4 yards and the bolero only took 1, maybe even like 3/4 of 1. So I have a bunch of this fabric left. I have no clue what I'm going to do with it, but it was pretty simple process, just getting everything cut out and prepped and ready to go. I got started on the skirt first. I have made this particular panel skirt pattern maybe a dozen times, possibly even more, so I know it like the back of my hand. I'm just serging all of the panels together, and then those will get gathered up onto a waistband. I did add in pockets to this because I'll probably get a decent amount of use out of this skirt because it's a gray, it's a neutral. I'll be able to wear it with other things in the future, and I wanted to make it a nice wearable piece so that I can actually wear it for non-cosplay things in the future. Then it was time to start the bolero. I made sure that I went in, marked all of the notches, all of the darts. This bolero has a bunch of darts on the sleeve, which actually makes it lay really nicely, but I almost forgot that they were there. So I'm really glad that I took a second to just sit and mark all of them so that I could make sure that I got all of the darts taken care of first. It's always easier to do them flat. Got the darts sewn in and pressed before I did anything else. And then from there, it was just a matter of putting these pieces together, following the directions. It's not a complicated pattern, but as somebody who doesn't make boleros or jackets that often, I definitely had to slow down and take my time with this one just to make sure that I was doing it correctly. And then this jacket is fully lined, so I had to go in and get my lining prepped. I just used some white cotton for this because, again, we're trying to make this fast. I had a little bit of white cotton in my kind of storage, and I knew that that would work just fine for this project. In the future, if I make this bolero again, I've thought about making it for like a black canary someday. I might use a slightly more interesting lining, or I probably could have used the same gray because I had enough of it, but I'm honestly glad that I didn't do that. It would have made it so hot to wear. And then once I sewed the lining and the outer part of the jacket together, I had to take the whole thing, turn it inside out through an opening in the lining, and then it was time to deal with the cuff. And I remembered why I didn't like this pattern. Okay, so this bolero is almost done, but I just need to show you guys the absolutely bonkers way that I am supposed to finish the sleeve. I just did one to make sure that I remembered how to do it because I had completely forgotten when I was putting it together that I had gotten to a point when I made this the first time that I was like, what does it want me to do? And then I get to the point in the instructions where it's telling me to take both sleeves inside. The way that it's worded is absolutely not helpful. It is not helpful, I will say. Whoever did the instructions for this at Simplicity, not helpful. Not helpful at all, but okay. So I've got the 2 sleeves, right? We've got the lining sleeve, and we've got the outer sleeve. So I have to take the lining sleeve. I need to get it lined up so it doesn't get all twisted up in there, which is hard to do. But I'm just kind of feeling for the darts on the inside, so that's how I know. And then it wants me to pin this basically to keep it lined up, right? So I have it pinned. So now I have to go through my opening in the lining and pull out just the sleeves, not anything else. So I'm supposed to take both sleeves and pull them through here. Now it's pinned, right? Now I'm supposed to unpin this. That pin was just to keep it lined up. And I'm supposed to pin these right sides together, which is basically this. And then I'm supposed to do that the whole way around. And I think I figured out what really tripped me up the first time that I made this. I was like, how am I supposed to put this on my machine? And this time I just kind of was like, nope, I'm not going to put this on my machine. I'm going to sew it. I'm going to sew it by hand to see if this is even right, because I was really starting to think that I was losing my mind. I was starting to think I was completely hallucinating. I was completely losing it because it made no sense to me. But we're going to get it pinned the whole way around so you can see this fresh hell that I've created. So I have to pin it and sew it like this. Like this. Utter nightmare. And this is just small enough that even if I wanted to try to do it, this does not fit over the like free arm of any machine that I've ever owned, because I've made this jacket pattern a couple of times. But I'm just going to hand sew it. I'm just going to do a split stitch the whole way around and then pull it back through. And I know from doing this one, this is what it's supposed to be, right? And it does look nice, I will say. It does look nice and finished, because then your lining is turned in nicely and then your cuff rolls up nice and everything looks nice. I understand why it wants me to do what it wants me to do. I don't understand how it thinks I'm supposed to do this on a machine, because it does not say to hand stitch this. It sure doesn't. But we're gonna hand stitch it, because what the fuck? What the fuck? Of course, at this point, I was in too deep to go back, so I just bucked up, did the sleeves the way that it said to, and hand sewed the cuff the whole way around. I basically tried to do a relatively small running stitch so that it wouldn't be super, super chunky or apparent. But I have these long nails on from my birthday a couple weeks back, and it makes hand sewing such a pain in the butt. This is why I can't have long glamorous girl nails all the time. This took like twice as long as it normally would have. But in the end, I think that it was worth it, because once it was turned out, it looks so clean and so nice. And I am really, really glad that I took the time to do it correctly. Like, it was right. Ugh. Then once everything was turned right side out, I pressed everything. I decided to do a quick top stitch around the collar and the edge just to make it lay really nice and clean and flat. And after that, it was basically all put together. My last step was just to hand sew shut the lining. If I remember correctly, the last time I made this, I don't think I actually did this, because I was like, who's going to see it? It's going to be on me. But we're trying to take our time with things now and do finishings on things correctly and not be lazy. So we hand sewed it closed. Okay, so this is it finished, put together. The bolero came out pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with it. I have made this skirt a bajillion times. This is with a petticoat underneath. Good and classic. This was the shirt I was initially planning to wear underneath, but I think it's a little too billowy blousey, and I think that the collar isn't quite right, so I might see if I can find something else. If I can't, it's not the end of the world, but I would like a slightly more structured white top, I think. And then I'm gonna do a big bow, like a kind of a scarf bow instead of a little bow tie like Pee-wee wears. But I am pretty happy with it. I think this texture of this fabric ended up being like exactly what this needed. And I think that it's, like I said, my only thing I'm not 100% on is the shirt, and I'm also not wearing the right bra right now, but at least I have the main pieces done. The stressful part is over. And at this point, it's just getting the last couple of things for it and planning out the trip. So that's nice, at least. Morning, gang. It is the day or the morning of the Pee-wee pilgrimage. I'm getting ready to get ready. We're pretty much packed. My husband still has to pack his stuff, but he's not bringing a lot. I didn't pack crazy heavy, but probably heavier than a normal person would pack for one day. But the plan right now is I'm going to get into the outfit, or at least most of the outfit. We're going to drive there. I'm going to be driving the first leg of the trip because my husband had a pretty crazy work night. And then he is going to drive tomorrow. But I figure I'm going to get in most of it. We'll probably freshen up when we get there, but that way we can just drive straight to Cabazon see the dinosaurs, check into our hotel, relax. That's currently the plan. I'm gonna my plan is to do kind of a relatively neutral eye, and then I think Paul Reubens wears like some level of blush for Pee-wee, so I'm gonna probably do pretty heavy blush, and then we're gonna do a red lip, I think. I'm not gonna do like a full-on makeup tutorial or anything, but I'm feeling really good this morning. We watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure last night, or we watched the first half of it last night, and then my husband was falling asleep, so we went to bed, and then we finished it this morning while we had breakfast. It's one of those movies that just, it never fails to make me smile. It was the first time that I had watched it since he passed. And it was, it was kind of, it hit a little differently in some respects, but like, I'm really glad that I watched it, and I'm really glad that I'm doing this. I feel like it's really going to be worth it. It's going to be a really fun time, which I think is the most important part of this. I'm not trying to make it be like this somber thing. It's more of a like, we're going to go on an adventure. We're going to go do something fun. We're going to have a good time. And that felt like much more in keeping with his spirit to me and his ethos than doing some big giant, like than doing a sad memorial, because at the end of the day, he wanted to make people happy, and I think that that's, at the end of the day, what a lot of us really want to do, is we want to make the people around us and the people that we love happy, and I want to try and do that same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and put all my makeup on. I'm not going to film the whole thing. I don't think it's super necessary for this. I'll see you when we get on the road. And from there, it was just time for us to get on the road. Thankfully, the drive itself was really easy. I feel like sometimes driving from Vegas into California can feel really heavy and oppressive for me for some reason, but I think because we didn't have to drive into LA, the drive itself was really smooth. It was a Monday morning. We didn't have a ton of traffic. The playlist I put together was a banger. We had a lot of Oingo Boingo, a lot of B-52s, a lot of Weird Al. It felt very appropriate. It was absolutely the vibe. And I just love driving through the desert. It's so beautiful.
Take over, set it off one last time. Here we come again. All systems go. Soon the world will know. The fury of attack. Feel the wrath of the super rat.
Our first stop at the trip was at Eddie World, which is in Yermo, California. It has become one of me and my husband's absolute favorite places to stop on trips. It's this huge gas station with really, really clean bathrooms, and they have so much candy here. We used to joke about being excited to go here as a joke, because they put 47,000 billboards for it, but now it's genuinely become a place that we're both really, really fond of, and I get so excited to see it and to see the big ice cream tower every single time that I go. So I was really glad that we stopped here. All right, so we're topping the gas up. We're here at Eddie World. We're about halfway through the drive. We got our first couple of pictures. The big Eddie World ice cream cone over there, we got some with that, and then we wanted some that looked like I was hitchhiking, so we got those here because the roads kind of look abandoned, but they're not, so it was a little bit more safe for me to kind of stand on the edge of the sidewalk and have it look like I was hitchhiking than it probably would have been if we pulled over on the side of the road someplace. So that part's done. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm not feeling super tired or anything. Got to use the bathroom and stuff here. So that was definitely nice, and I'm definitely excited for the second leg of the trip. It's gonna be a really good time. Yeah, playlist I put together slaps. If I do say so myself, I think I did a really good job. We're about halfway there, so. Then after that, it was time to head on to our final destination, the dinosaurs. Eddie World split the trip up pretty perfectly. It was kind of 2 hours to there and then 2 hours to Cabazon. So we had a really nice time. It honestly did my heart so much good to just sit and sing along with my husband in the car. Like, I needed this. I really did. And then we finally made it, seeing them on the horizon as we kind of pulled in. I don't even know how to describe that moment to you guys. It was genuinely, weirdly, like a dream come true. I know that sounds melodramatic, but it's a place that I have always wanted to go ever since I found out that they were still a thing that you could go and see. I have always wanted to get to go see them, so I can't even describe to you how excited I was. I've always been somebody who loves kind of kitschy, campy roadside things, so I think that that was also part of the reason I'd always wanted to see them, but having them be a real piece of Pee-wee's Big Adventure, of this movie that I grew up watching, I don't know, it felt like walking into a dream in a way. It felt like I had kind of transported myself into Pee-wee's Big Adventure just for a little bit, just for like that half a second. They had painted Pee-wee's suit onto Rex, the T-Rex, and there were a lot of memorials and mementos that people had brought. People had left flowers and things, and it really hit me that I wasn't the only person that he meant as much as he did to. And I don't know, it really felt like a way for me to be able to say goodbye and to kind of say thank you, if that makes any sense. It was also just really fun. Part of me wishes we had come on a different day because it was so hot out. It was like 118 degrees and I'm in this little tweed suit. But we went in and we saw the whole dinosaur park. It was really cute, really kitschy, really campy. I think if we had been there any other day, I would have stayed longer, but we didn't stay crazy long. But one thing that was really nice about doing the park itself is we got to climb up into Rex and climb into the mouth, which it's not the same as in the movie. In the movie, it's clearly a set because Rex's actual mouth is pretty small. But getting to kind of sit in there and look out in the same place that Pee-wee watched the sunrise with Simone, it was really special to me. It meant a lot.
Do you have any dreams?
Yeah. I'm all alone. I'm rolling a big donut and this snake wearing a vest.
No, not that kind of dream. I mean a dream you dream about all the time. It keeps you going, dreaming about it, hoping it'll come true.
Did you ever have a dream like that?
Simone, this is your dream. You have to follow it.
I know you're right, but...
But what? Everyone I know has a big but. Simone, you can't just wish and hope for something to come true. You have to make it happen.